Hello grapplers and welcome to a new video. Combo Breaker just ended yesterday at the time I'm recording, and this was the grand finals.
Here we go here. Lashar locking in Ed. Ed is the character he's locked in back on. He said, nah bro, I don't play Ed anymore. Me when I lie. We got
The narrative during the grand finals was that Ed struggled against Zangief, which is a little bit surprising. This video is gonna be a little bit different. I'm not necessarily gonna analyze the fight. What I want to talk, since we're so close to the release of the next season, supposedly, it's better for me, I think, to talk about how or why this matchup is so bad for Zangief. And also, will this matchup change in the next season? But there's a bunch of reasons why this matchup is so bad for Zangief. Starting with one button, which is a standing medium kick. This button is extremely difficult to deal with if you play Zangief, because you have to hold the standing heavy punch in a very specific place so you don't get hit by the lower hitbox of this thing, because you can hit the basically Zangief foot. And not only that, this is cancelable. Zangief dry rush is very slow, so I can easily punish him with this. That's a counter hit, and from here he can go into anything. Neutral jump medium kick is also very annoying. Some Zangief players tend to use a standing heavy kick against this button. The thing is, standing heavy kick is a very hard read. If the Ed player is jumping around here, you're not gonna catch him if he doesn't jump with the medium punch. So you can easily just jump, do nothing, and punish your recovery frames of the standing heavy kick, because it recovers in a lot of frames. But this is not a thing you can just press a standing heavy kick and beat immediately this thing. It'll depend on when he presses the standing medium kick, if he presses the standing medium kick, and also if you notice that he's jumping. This button is, you'll see that in the start of frames is 12 frames. This means this button punishes the sweep on block at almost every distance, and this is cancelable into things. And you have other buttons that I haven't mentioned, like crouching medium kick, standing heavy punch. Basically, the point is he has a lot of good buttons. I'm not even talking about specials. He has some really good buttons to keep Zangief at bay. And talking about specials, probably the most annoying one is definitely this thing. The thing with the flicker is that it hits low very fast for Zangief. It's very difficult to jump this, because you don't know if he's going for the low one or going for the high one, and that is pretty difficult to deal with. This is a fireball strike, and you'll notice that if you do this and you basically get this on block, he's gonna be +4. Basically, boom. You know that already. Pretty strong. And if you parry it, since it is a fireball too, you don't get the slowdown, because you're gonna be -4 next to this guy, but maybe not that close. It's gonna be like over here. Still pretty good for frame traps, so you're not gonna escape the frame trap. The only thing you escape is the throw. And if you're thinking about super level 2 to answer this, because that can help, that can work sometimes, the issue with that is that you can only do super level 2 at certain ranges, because the kill switch, I think it's called kill switch, this thing can escape the range of super level 2. And those are specials and buttons. What about supers? Ed's supers are pretty good against Zangief. You have obviously the super level 1 at 13 frames, pretty good to just buffer almost every single time, because if you see Zangief doing anything, like a heavy, a sweep, any kind of heavies recover very slow, so you can easily whiff punish with the super level 1 if you want to. You have obviously the super level 2 at 8 frames, which is mad fast, and this guarantees a combo from corner to corner, especially a combo that is very easy due to Zangief hurtbox. And of course you have super level 3, which is not necessarily that useful outside of round enders, but still something that you're gonna use. I haven't even mentioned that even though the Shoryuken is pretty slow, you can still do it during dry rushes. So if for some reason the Zangief player wants to do standing light kick, DRC, SPD, and the other player wants to respond with something, he can just boom. In terms of how much meters the Zangief player is using, 3 meters to get to that point versus Ed using only 2 to push you away and get damage, it doesn't look good for Zangief. And you have a lot of other things. Ed has a lot of Oki, a lot of things doing this. What's the good thing about this matchup? What can you do as a Zangief player? The standing medium kick of Ed you can punish with sweep sometimes. A standing heavy punch is probably the button you're gonna use the most, even though it's not guaranteed at any point, you still need to use it. And probably the only really good thing about this matchup is that technically you do get a very easy safe jump against Ed if you do this. Ed cannot punish that. He needs to perfect parry. Ideally against Ed, you always want to safe jump, even though the other safe jumps are completely guaranteed due to how slow his DP is. That one is pretty common. It's a fake safe jump for any other character except Ed and a few more without DPs, but you need to be close. It has to be the double hitting close OD lariat for this to actually work. So you need to be here at a distance where it's pretty complicated to be. Sometimes you're gonna get a jump in and this will happen. That's the most common one because in the actual neutral, it's gonna be pretty hard for you to spend 3 meters to do something like this. Just to get this situation. So it's not good enough, Zangief. The meter management of this match is very complicated. If you parry a Snatcher or the Fireballs, it feels like you're not getting anything done in this matchup. Compared to Dalsim, where if you parry the Fireball, that's pretty good. You can walk forwards due to how slow Dalsim is, or you can perfect parry a button. And even against JP, as I said, you can sometimes perfect parry the spin, or you can perfect parry the spikes, the departure, so you have other things that are more useful if you parry. In this matchup, it just feels like you're not getting any terrain. You're not closing the gap. When we were watching this live yesterday, we all knew that matchup was going to be hell. The moment Leshar won against Dual Kevin, we knew that Ed was coming. Now the question is there something they can do to fix this matchup? And I don't have the best news for you guys. I think this matchup will always be a bad matchup for Zangief. The reason is because this matchup is basically a counter archetype. Contrary to popular belief, having a fireball is not necessarily the way to keep Zangief at bay. I mean, having one is great, but usually the characters that can fight Zangief mostly have really good buttons. The fireball is just extra. If you have good buttons and good mobility, you're probably gonna beat Zangief. In terms of actually fixing Zangief, there's not much. The only move you do have to close the gap is this, the Siberian Express. And you do know how inconsistent this thing is. And even if they speed this up, being still 23 frames for the closed version, is not fast enough to actually get something going. Ed would still recover, Ed will still be able to react. This move would need to be like 16 frames to have at least a little bit of a chance in this matchup. There's not much you can do here, and they would need to give armor to this thing, and I don't see them going for any of those. Now Lariat, it just doesn't work in this matchup. You have other options like Wheel Kick, but Wheel Kick is so slow and so easy to punish with Ed. You either go for something like this, or maybe they can buff the distance of knee, but even with those two, Ed will still just need to chill, wait, and punish you. Unless they give Zangief a new move, which is not something that's gonna happen, I think, this matchup will always be bad. Now, how about nerfing Ed? To be fair, Ed is a great character. I think the nerfs were the correct nerfs. He still gets the Dream Combo, which is, I feel, a little bit too much for this game. But this game is already corner carry heavy, so I don't know about that. But Ed is already at the limit of what he can do. There's really not much they can do in this matchup to actually make it more even without severely changing a lot of the properties of Zangief. They can keep Ed as is. In order to fix this thing, Ed doesn't need to be nerfed. What they need to do is change properties for Zangief. And that also applies to the Dalsim matchup, the Lily matchup, the JP matchup, all of those ones. And that is more than just gives things like invincibility to SPD or making the stomps actually work or even Tundra working. It goes beyond that because Zangief right now doesn't have a tool to close the gap. As long as he doesn't have that, and a combo ender from Lights, all of these matchups are gonna be hell and very bad. I don't necessarily like when people push the narrative in the wrong way, and I think when these two appeared during Combo Breaker, I felt like the narrative from the commentary was a little bit strange. This matchup is hell, and if you play Ed, you have no reason to fear Zangief. At least that's what we can say so far, without going to Season 3. I can see the Lily matchup being better for Zangief in the future, even the Dalsim one, but JP and this guy, it's gonna be really difficult. That is all for today. Thanks as always. If you really like this video, please subscribe. Take care of yourselves, keep playing grapplers, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.